Welcome to Mobile Agent TV. I'm Michael Thorne. The teleprompter's wrong. No, okay, here we go. Welcome to Mobile Agent TV. I'm Dave Farquhar from RE/MAX Preferred Professionals in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and the Enviro Realty team. And as always, my co-host, Michael Thorne from RE/MAX Little Oak in Langley, British Columbia. That's in Canada. Michael, how you doing?
Good, good. The market's busy. You still got to put them in your car. I think that went well. What do you think? I think our viewers are going to love that.
I don't know. After that camera thing you did, for those who didn't see it, they got to go. You tell them where to check it out. But after you did that little flying helicopter chat, we had to do some more of this funny stuff because
yes,
it's funny.
I agree. Yeah, no. The marketplace is great. I've been flying around. I was at the Robbins Conference out here in Vancouver Monday, Tuesday. And got to hang out with Valerie Garcia again, and Terry Conrad, and Travis Robertson was there, and future guests, Nathan Dart, and
Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie. Yeah, absolutely. Melanie was there. Tony Joe, future guest. What a great group of people got up to be a part of one of their genius panels. Don't know how I qualify for that title, but it was a great time. So it's an awesome group. And on that note. The Ariya Conference is coming to Vancouver in the Lower Mainland here on June 17th. And Terry Conrad and I will be on a panel together. Raj Kazar is coming up to speak. Tony Joe will be there too as well. So you can go to ariyavancouver.com. I know there's still some seats left, but it's going to be a fantastic one-day conference focusing on technology, social, building your luxury market too as well. So that's why for sure Raj is coming up. So it's going to be another great conference. During the broadcast, you can interact with us live on Twitter using the hashtag #MATVLive, and you can get us on Twitter at MobileAgentTV. I'll keep an eye on that. Oh, and on that note, I'm glad I remembered. If you're watching on the blog live or on Google+, you can ask us questions. We already have. Phil says that he loved the camera video. Now Phil is an agent that really has a drone. He actually has one, and he's not so far away from me. He's just outside North Vancouver. I'm going to buzz over there and watch him fly it too. And Terry says that she's pumped for this particular episode. Our guest today is Kevin Tengan, and as always, we read out our guest's 160 Twitter bio. You can get Kevin on Twitter at Kevin Tengan, Tengan. And his bio reads, owner, RE/MAX Prestige, former Hollywood studio technologist, now reimagining # real estate, design, coder, traveler. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Good to be here. Good morning, or afternoon, evening, wherever you're at.
Exactly. Now, Kevin's in Honolulu, Hawaii, and it is 7:04 in the morning. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, Kevin, and coffee, exactly. And we've talked about Kevin a number of times on the show because here's a guy that is busy opening up an awesome new cool brokerage, and we'll talk about that. But you know, our graphics, like our lower third graphics, he just fired them off to us. Our Google Plus graphics, one day he just fired them off to us, and we started talking about design and how important design is in what we do when we market ourselves, which is interesting because to get ready for our guests coming on the show, I do a little bit of research on them. I find out, I go around, look at their bios, and if you go to kevintengan.com, he's got his social icons on the top of the page. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, IMDb, which is an icon you don't usually see on the top of someone's bio or their blog. So on that note, Kevin, what happens and what do I see and what is the meaning behind that icon when I click on it?
So IMDb is the Internet Movie Database. Basically, it tracks what people have done in movies. So former Hollywood studio technologist. I used to work at a post-production studio in Southern California. It was the largest privately held in Southern California. And we did some great work on feature films, commercials, TV shows. And I got to work with some amazing people, got to be a part of 2 teams that won Academy Awards, so that was very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and not just feature films. I mean, we're talking about giant blockbuster. We've all seen these movies. I mean, Lord of the Rings and a lot of these other films you were involved on. So now that was back in LA, and now you're in Honolulu as a broker at a RE/MAX office. So give our audience a little bit of your history. How does real estate play into your life?
I was always actually interested in real estate. It was something that caught my attention early on. Being in technology, though, I kind of followed that passion, ran with that. And then a few years ago, I found the ability to come back to Hawaii, get into real estate. I thought I would leave the world of technology, but you can never leave the world of technology. Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood. And I kind of just started doing my own thing with technology, rolling it into workflows, trying to figure out how to make my life easier, make myself more efficient, and from there started and opened up this brokerage with two amazing people. So it's very exciting.
Okay, and on that note, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a bit of a screen share. I'm just going to show everyone your office because we are talking about design today and how it impacts things. So I just want everyone to take a look at your office. So this is your office in Honolulu, Hawaii, and obviously it looks very, very different. How does having an office that fundamentally is designed different affect your agents and the culture that you're creating there at your brokerage in Honolulu?
Culture was something that we wanted to focus on at the very beginning. We wanted to build the right culture. We wanted to build an environment of openness, of collaboration, and we felt this type of open designed office would help foster that and promote that, which it has. Agents would come in, they'll talk to each other, they'll interact with each other, they'll engage. But we also created a very mobile workflow for the agents. So they don't necessarily have to come into the office. So unlike some other offices where you'll see agents come in, sit at their desk, close the door, be in there all day, we want the agents out there talking to people, out and about, and we really kind of catered the workflow, catered all our systems around that so the agents can come into the office or they can work wherever they're comfortable. If they're comfortable working from their home office, if they meet their clients at their home, or if they meet them at Starbucks or wherever, they can really function 100% from wherever they're at. And that was very important to us, to allow them to work wherever they're comfortable.
Now, how does that design, because I know how our design in our office now, you know, here's an example of design. Right now we don't have any art on the wall because we're between artists today. And that affects how our office looks. But how does this open concept, clean look design, we've talked about how important it is to the agent, but we're going to be talking about how design affects the consumer today. How does your office design, or how have you found it in the last 8 months, affect the experience for the consumer?
Well, the consumer and even other agents, they walk in and they're actually kind of wowed by it. They look at it like, wow, this is very clean, it's very modern, and it projects that image of modern, clean, technology-based, but yet friendly. And the door's always open, people walk in all the time, and what you can't see in that photo is actually we have behind-the-glass touchscreen at our storefront window. So people can interact, they can search, they can do that 24/7, anytime they want to walk by. And it's been a great tool to engage the consumers that don't necessarily want to walk in the office. They can walk by and they look at the screen like, wow, I can really poke around and touch and search for real estate right through this window, and then we can go out there, talk to them, or they'll walk in. It's like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is neat. I want to take advantage of this, or tell me more.
Yeah, I think it really sets up what the experience working with one of your agents would be like. I mean, it's just a fundamentally different experience, and if we can relate to the way it feels for us in our personal lives, it changes things. I know, Dave, you know, first impressions are a lot of a great restaurant or a hotel or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When you put that up on the screen and I looked at it, to me, it was very peaceful. It just looked like a peaceful, friendly place. There wasn't a lot of clutter. There's not a lot of paper around. I just think it's really neat, very, very extremely neat. I really liked it.
Thank you.
So we should see more of it, because here in at least in New Jersey, I don't know of any offices that are like that. There, even though we were using the technology and the paperless, et cetera, you walk into almost all real estate offices here, and you're not going to see an environment like that.
And I think that's common. I think the people that, I mean, I won't say that we are cutting edge, but I think our office and Kevin's office and Raj Kazar's office, I have to say Raj Kazar every episode, it's in our contract. Oh, and by the way, bomb. Down the Good Life team down in Austin, Texas. I mean, these sort of offices, we all recognize those names because they've done something different. But I think it's become more and more mainstream. I mean, there is definitely an advantage to the broker too as well. I think these are one of the situations that are win-win-wins. I mean, I think it's better for the agent, for the broker, and for the consumer. It paints a better experience. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's show, I do want to say that today is a very special anniversary for myself. Today is the 6-year anniversary of a very special day in my life. And I'm going to share it for everyone because I think it's going to mean something for Kevin, our guest today. But this photo was taken 6 years ago this morning. That's a picture of my father. We left our last camp just after midnight and hiked all throughout the night to reach the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro 6 years ago today, and we watched the sunrise together over Africa. And the reason why I show this is because this is a photo that hopefully Kevin will be taking here in the next few weeks, right, Kevin?
Yep. I think the countdown's on. Less than 3 weeks left now. And I think that's how we first met too, or interacted, was through Kilimanjaro.
Absolutely. I think he came across a photo that I had or talked about it once, and we reached out, we started a chat, and we bumped into each other at R4, and it's kind of neat. So anyway, it's going to be an amazing adventure for you, Kevin. I know that you love travel, so that's great.
Thank you.
So here's we go. So we want to really get into this because design is something that's all around us all the time, and sometimes we're not aware of it. I think it's a lot of times like, there are good dressers, and sometimes you're aware that you are or you're not, and it's I don't know if that analogy works, but Travis Robertson says, and it's a stat, that we are bombarded with more than 3,500 marketing messages per day. And so when you consider that as how often we are marketed to, the amount of time you have to gain our attention, to allow us to focus, is minimal, and that almost always comes back with a visual to get you stopped because you're not actually into the reading of the words. So, Kevin, talk to the overall reasoning behind or the purpose behind great design.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there where you said it's not all about the reading of the words anymore. It's not. It's about what catches our attention. It's images now more than anything else. It's video, and that's picture's worth 1,000 words. That mantra holds truer now than it ever did before. And people say that every detail about a company, a brand, an individual says something about it. So like you're saying about our office, about the collateral that we put out, every little bit says something about who we are, what we represent, and what value we bring to the consumer, to the customer.
So where does an agent start? Terry Conrad and I were having a conversation the other day about branding, and the fact that it's just not a logo and a catchphrase. It goes a whole lot deeper than that. So what should an agent do to sit back? They've got flyers, they've got signs, they've got business cards printed already, they've got all this stuff out there, and none of it, maybe all of it isn't great design, and quite often all of it isn't consistent. There isn't a thread between all of it. What should an agent do to step back and audit what they're doing and also try to discover what their design should be? Because I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. So advice, Kevin, for agents that are trying to find their voice, their personal brand, their identity, and their consistency in that.
Consistency is definitely key, and I tell our agents the same thing. I'll go on agents, look at their social media, for example, their Facebook, their Twitter, their Google+, their YouTube, and they'll have 5 different profile pictures. And I tell them, okay, each of your profile pictures should be the same. Pick one that you really like, that kind of, it's friendly, it's open, you don't look super serious unless you're the super serious type. If you're fun and quirky, be fun and quirky. Really be natural in who you are, because people will gravitate to that. The people that you want to work with, that want to work with you, they'll gravitate to your personality, and you want your personality to really shine through in every little thing you do, and that starts with your face, your profile picture, so your business cards, your social media, all of that. Just be consistent, use the same photo across the board, and so when they encounter you in different venues, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that person, I remember that name. If you have a little catchphrase, use that little catchphrase everywhere. You know, every little impression helps. Every little detail matters to the consumer. And as they start to see it more, they get to know you, they understand who you are and what you're all about.
Dave, anything to add on that one about
No,
about being consistent?
Me, I'm making the notes.
Good, good. So Kevin, I mean, big picture wise, what are the rules or the keys to great design? Because I mean, I think for a lot of people, you know, and we're not. I mean, that's not what we do. It's clearly what you do. We look at your history. You're a person that focuses probably on the greatest detail and sees things that the average person doesn't see. But what are the rules to great design?
I heard a great quote a while ago. It was, designers make the invisible visible. So you want to bring forth everything that you want about yourself in your design. So like I said, if you're that fun, quirky person, use bright colors, use big, bold fonts. Fonts is a big one. Be consistent with your fonts on your flyers, on your business cards. Don't start mixing up 3, 4, 5, 6 different fonts. Use 1, maybe 2 fonts in there. If you want words to stand out or you want a phrase to stand out, you can change the font, change the color, change the boldness. But make sure that everything you do kind of fits your personality. You don't want a strict corporate look if you're that fun, quirky person. If you're that corporate type of person that's all business, you don't want those bright colors, flowers, things like that. So it's really about who you are and making, like I said, making that invisible visible.
And this is something Dave and I have talked about all the time, or quite a bit too as well. I mean, any advice on how someone can audit themselves to find out if they are the quirky person or if they are the serious type? Because quite often I know when it comes to video or all this stuff, people, we attempt to be something different than we are sometimes, and authenticity sometimes is a really hard thing for people to grasp. I mean, I think some people are not being authentic on purpose, and some people aren't being authentic because it's kind of a struggle to be exactly who you are. So, any advice on auditing who you are to find out, you know? And once again, I think what you're saying too is don't be everything to everybody, which is something we said again too as well. But how do you go about finding if you are that fun person?
I think the best thing is to ask the people that are closest to you. You can go around, talk to them. Okay, if you had 5 words to describe me, what would those 5 words be? And what someone says to you might not be the same 5 that you write down for yourself. And talk to your friends, talk to your family. Go through and look at everything you've done in the past, because you'll see that voice there. You may change a little bit here and there, but you'll see that underlying current. And if you just take the time, go back, look at your old posts, go through, look at your old videos. If you have videos, go look at everything that you've done, the people you've interacted with. We have a little bit of ourselves and everyone that we are friends with, that we interact with, and that's why people want to work with us. That's why we work with them.
Kevin, I've said on the show before, talking about design, and I've been with RE/MAX for a very, very long time, probably almost as long as you've been alive. I don't know. You look like you're a young guy. And I connect myself to the red, white, and blue sign and the balloon. That's what I connect myself to in my business card, my name badge, our signs. They all look alike, and that's kind of my connection in my design. And could you sort of, and the reason I kind of do that is I believe that there's a whole lot of people have come before me, even yourself and Michael, who have interacted with clients all around the world, and RE/MAX has a reputation. We all know that, a great reputation. You know, mention RE/MAX in any part of the world, and for the most part, we're going to get, oh, I've heard of you guys. You guys are a lot better than the next guy. So that's why I connect to that, and that's in the design of everything I do. Could you maybe speak to that, about what you may think about that?
No, it's absolutely true. You have to leverage. I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants here, right? Leverage the brand. RE/MAX is an amazing brand. They're known worldwide. Leverage the balloon. Leverage that red, white, and blue. We came to this brand because we believe in the same things that the brand stands for. And by using that, by leveraging it, you're telling people, hey, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. But then when you create your flyers, when you create your marketing collateral, you can add a small personal touch. Like, this is what sets me apart from the next agent that you might meet. So this is what I can bring to the table personally. Here's what the brand and my company brings to the table at this higher level.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, Dave. I mean, that was one of my questions too. I think I think just the nature of our business for us, especially with a brand that we want to use. I mean, I think there's some agents out there that probably are with a brokerage that isn't as well known as Remax, and then they can go personal brand. I think it is this crazy juggling act about leveraging the corporate logo's power as best we possibly can, with letting the consumer know why I am the particular Remax agent that you want to work with. I think, or this is who I am amongst. I think that's a juggling act that I think a lot of people struggle with. I see signage out there. I'm more aware of it now, Dave, since you and I have talked more and more about it. That it is a tricky balance to try to make. It is a difficult thing.
And I think Dave, Michael, you both are doing a great job at personal branding through Mobile Agent TV. People come on, they see this, that's kind of who you are, and you're building your own personal brand through Mobile Agent TV. So they see how sharing you guys are with information and how you want to help agents, and that speaks volumes. And consumers will see that, other agents will see that, and they'll gravitate towards that, and they're like, oh, hey, we know who you two are.
Thanks. We're becoming pretty famous. That's kind of crazy, right?
Kevin, we've talked about it before when we've talked about website design. We've talked about another thing too as well, and I really want to ask you about it. Like, is this real push towards cleanliness in design something that's new, relatively new for us, and that's the flavor of the decade? Or has really clean design always been in vogue?
Really clean design has always been around, but just not as in your face as it has become over the last couple of years. Web pages were started out by programmers. I mean, you had to know how to program to build a web page, and it was all about information, getting information out there. It was about SEO. It was about how much information can I put on my page to keep the consumer on the page as long as I can. Now we are seeing very clean one-page designs. Flickr has their new one-page design. It's big, bold images, very few text, but they're using things that evoke an emotion within you. It's like, okay, I'm getting an idea, a sense of what this company is about, or what they're offering, or why I should use them instead of somebody else. And people are kind of gravitating towards that because it does evoke that emotion. It is very successful at doing what it needs to do. It's no longer about how many different links do I have on that front page to optimize my SEO or have people click to make sure they stay. It's about, oh wow, it's about grabbing that person's attention. Like you said, we have a split second, grab someone's attention, otherwise they're off to the next thing. And so that's done in photos, that's done in video, and text is, yeah, it's kind of going away.
Well, I mean, on that note, I mean, we've all heard the expression that a photo is 1,000 words, or whatever it is. A great photo equals 1,000 words. Dr. James McQuavey of the Foster's Research said that 1 minute of video is equal to 1.8 million words. So when you look at putting a little bit of video and a little bit of photo on there, you don't need to jam text in there. I mean, it's very clear what I can get from the sense of just go to KevinTengan.com. There's like 18 photos. That's it. I mean, really great photos, and I know kind of who you are. I know that you went skydiving. I know, I kind of get the sense of your personality. You could never ever write that and get that across of who you are. So it's very, very interesting. That being said, then Kevin, why does it seem that clean design is so difficult to achieve?
Because that's a very good question. It takes a lot of thought, and we're very busy. We're out there, we're meeting people, we're trying to grow our business, and we don't have necessarily the time to really think about, okay, how do I get all this information out? It's easy to just whip out a few words. Presentations is one of my big things with my agents. I tell them, when you're giving a presentation, you don't want all this text on the screen, on the slide. Your slide is not your presentation. People can read faster than you can talk. What you want is a picture that will evoke an emotion, that will have them look at that, have some sort of emotion, and then kind of turn the attention back to you. So I see a lot of presentations, there's bullet point after bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. I can sit there, I'll read the entire slide. They're on point number 1, and I'm waiting for them to flip to the next slide. I'm not listening anymore. So whereas I love pointing to the TED Talks. If you watch a TED Talk and you see the slides, there's maybe 3-4 words on each slide, but each slide has an image on it, an image that evokes an emotion about what the person is talking about. And I tell my agents, kind of use that as your gauge. Like, watch 3 or 4 TED Talks, see how they present, and go from there. Because I know we all do buyers presentations, sellers presentations, and it's after the 3rd or 4th presentation that a buyer or seller's been through, they're like, okay, I kind of get it now. What? Tell me about you. Don't tell me about the importance of staging.
Right, and for those of you that are watching that don't know what he means when he said TED Talks, TED.com, just go there. You'll find some of the most interesting how long are they, Kevin? They're not very long. They're only allowed to talk for 10
Yep, they're
minutes.
from anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to 18. They're maximum 18-minute talks.
And it's phenomenal, about all kinds of subjects. And once you start getting hooked on watching them, I watch them all the time. There's just so many interesting things. So a lot of good content there. So for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, TED.com, good stuff.
And actually, I have a great example of that. If you give me a second, I'm going to try the screen sharing thing. So here's pretty much, can you see that?
It hasn't come up yet for me, but it will. Oh, there you go. There you go. Keep talking now.
So here's a great example of 2 presentations about the exact same idea. On the right, you have a whole bunch of bullet points, and on the left, Steve Jobs is using an image to kind of evoke an emotion, and you have to simplify complex ideas. And this is a great example of simplifying a complex idea of what cloud-based sharing was all about. So Steve Jobs is talking about iCloud, and Bill Gates is talking about Windows Live. But you can see the difference between the 2 slides.
Absolutely.
And so I like this one. Use less words. Useless words.
Useless words. Ah ha ha ha.
Hey, Kevin, do you have any suggestions about where someone could go to do something like that graphic that you just put up there? Because I'm working on something like that very similar now for our listing presentation. I got it all drawn out, where it's just going to be a visual of the whole marketing, what our marketing does and how it's all done, kind of like an infographic. Do you have any suggestions of where someone could get something like that?
To do an infographic, those are really great. They've become really popular because you can present a whole lot of information very easily. If you go to a place like Fiverr.com or Elance,
yeah, we're familiar.
Yep, you can find a designer. They can whip that out. Infographics, those I would leave to a professional person unless you really want to take the time and lay it out, because it does involve a lot of thought.
No, it does.
To develop one of those, and you can spend a few dollars and free up your time to do other things, and then rely on the designer to really hone in on that message and make sure that you're conveying what you want to convey.
On the note of presentations, Kevin, what sort of platforms are you recommending? I know that Haiku Deck is extremely visual. You can make Keynote that way. What are you and your agents using for your presentation tools?
So I actually build most of it off of Keynote. You can actually do the same thing in PowerPoint. Again, it's just laying down a big image on the back, maybe a rectangle that highlights the text that you want to say. Keep the words in large font, so that way you can't have too many of them on the screen. And if you can do it in 6 words or less, that's the key thing. Again, it's simplifying that complex idea. I tell my agents, they ask me, where do you get all the images from? Where do you get the images from? Go to Google, images.google.com, search for the emotion you're trying to convey. If you're trying to convey a confused person that's in the market trying to find a home, go look up confused or confusing or angry, and then use that image, because that image, the people you're presenting to will relate to that. And like, oh yeah, that was me looking at all the open houses last week. That's what I felt. I was ripping my hair out. And so they relate to that. And because there's nothing else on the screen for them to look at, they turn their attention right back to you, and they listen to what you're saying. If your audience is reading, they're not hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I talked about it last week. Katie Lance put out a blog post about great places where you can get stock images for free too as well, that are royalty free, that if you want to use them in blog and that sort of thing too as well, you can go there. So go to katielance.com to take a look at that stuff. One of the things too I've heard a number of times, the importance of consistency sometimes even outweighs the importance of design. I think design is an aspect of it. But talking about in particular, they were talking about landing pages and doing some Facebook ads that would direct you to a landing page where you could enter in your email address to get your property's home value. And if the ad didn't look like the landing page, the conversion rate was dramatically less than if the ad and the landing page had the same feel or the same look or whatever you want to say to it. So consistency, as obviously at a very human level, lets people feel like they're in the right place, or that's what they expected to see when they got there. I think it's a very interesting example of how important it is that your design be consistent from your flyer to look like your website. So talk about the importance, Kevin, of consistency.
So, like you said, that's extremely important. If you're using a particular font, make sure you use that same font throughout all of your things. If you have a catchphrase, a logo, have that appear on each of your pages so they know that, okay, this is what I expected. It doesn't necessarily have to be the background image, because that's a pretty large image, pretty massive image, and you shrink that down to a Facebook ad, you can't kind of tell what you're looking at in the ad. But have an element in the ad that appears on that page, in that page somewhere. Make sure those elements appear throughout all your designs, all your collateral. If you use a certain color scheme, keep that consistent across your web pages, across social media, across your business cards. Yeah, again, fonts matter. A great resource for fonts, go to dafont.com, dafont.com. They have hundreds and hundreds of free fonts available there. You can download them, install them, use them. Many of them are royalty-free if you're doing it for personal use. If you start getting commercial, just kind of be careful of how you're using it.
Wow, great advice. Dafont.com. I found this stat very, very interesting when we're talking on the note of Facebook, that photo posts account for 93% of the most engaged posts on Facebook. And we're seeing this now very, very clearly that because we're consuming our content like this and we're scrolling through it, I mean, the ability to make me stop and look and read what you're talking about, you've got not even seconds, you've got milliseconds to make me stop. So imaging is so important, and I think one of the things too as well that I'm seeing a lot of people do is instead of taking the images from far away, from this big picture, to get into something that makes someone curious, maybe a feature. I mean, I think we're so eager to show the whole story at once, opposed to perhaps teasing a little bit. I think maybe that's a thing. So when we're talking about just little iconic photos or icon photos to make people stop, what should agents be trying to portray in a millisecond?
That's a great observation. It is about curiosity. If we see the whole picture, we're on to the next thing. If you can crop it down, tighten it up, if you take a shot, especially a person, you take a shot of a person standing in a big field, that's okay, sort of interesting, but then you really tighten in on their face, you see their expression, you kind of see what the background's going on, and you're like, yeah, I want to see more of that, I'm going to zoom in on that, or click on that photo to move on. Also just having a graphic on there instead of an image, a solid color with a little text saying, this is what this post is about, or this is, click here and you'll learn about this. Something that's different, it catches the person's attention. I'm actually starting to see a lot more of that now, where it's solid color, maybe a geometric design on it, like a square or triangle or something, and then just where it's 10 tips to X, Y, or Z, or the 5 best ways to ABC. And it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think if your post isn't really even about the photo, you need to be putting a photo on there too as well, and you could create those easily in PicMonkey or Over or
there's a new one now, Canva.com, Canva.com.
I'm learning so much. So glad you're here.
Actually, they've kind of taken Twitter by storm, and their whole idea is democratization of design. So they're trying to open up design to everybody, where you can go on, you can design a really quick image that you include in your post or into your Facebook or into your Twitter feed. Great little tool.
Dave, when you're on Facebook, I mean, what have you found? Are you aware of what catches your eye? Have you ever thought about that? Because or do you just, if it's second nature, it's in the back of our brain somewhere?
Well, I know what catches my eye, and so I tend to use that, like sketch of my face, cartoony kind of things with a lot of color in it catch my eye, and I tend to click on those, especially if it's very professionally drawn, like a cross between a cartoon and realism. That catches my eye, and I tend to click on those things all the time. I mean, just if it's of something of interest to me with a lot of color in it.
And Kevin, what do we have to be aware of? Do you think the way we design is going to appeal to the 23 to the 65-year-old, or do we have to be aware of whom we want to attract? So it speaks to who we are as a brand, as a personal brand. It also speaks to who we're trying to attract. Can we market to a retirement community in Bridgewater, New Jersey, the same way I try to appeal to a first-time home buyer here in Langley, BC?
No, you really have to know your audience, and that's where design comes in. You have to know what's going to interest them, what's going to catch their attention. It's really hard to do the shotgun approach where I want to hit everybody, as many people as I can. So really hone the message in on each niche that you're trying to hit. The retirement community, that's going to be a completely different message that you're trying to sell to them than you are to the first-time home buyer, to the couple who just got married, to the investor. It's a completely different message, and it's very important to know your audience. We tell our agents the importance of not doing shotgun emails to everybody. You don't know if you're sending a first-time home buyer message to a long-time real estate investor. They'll look at your message going, okay, you don't understand who I am, what I'm about, so yeah, I'm going to delete that. I don't think I'm going to open anything from you moving forward. So if you can really personalize that message, and I think on one of your BombBomb videos, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like you're on there, you're speaking the person's name, and that really connects with them, and it makes them feel like you're talking directly to them. You're not talking at them, around them, or to an audience that's however big.
Okay, Kevin, you said sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, it's interesting he says that because we have two websites, and one is the Reliance Remax website, and it's very similar to the new design that Remax.com has. It's very clean. We talked about that before. It's kind of just muted colors. There's not a lot on there. Very simple. I have another website that I've designed by RealPro, and it's got a balloon flying across it, and I've got a lot of little scenes on it from New Jersey. It's very busy. It's a very busy website. The younger crowd tends to go to the Remax site. It's very clean. It's just a couple of little things there. And the other site, it's much more older people. It's because it's got all of these connections to them that they've lived here in New Jersey a long time. So you're absolutely right, and that's evidence of just exactly what you just said.
Kevin, that's sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to. That's a good.
No.
It is. I just Kevin, you said about we have to tailor our message, and I think a lot of agents hear message and they say the words we use has to be tailored towards them. But when you're talking from a place of design, when you say message, you're meaning the whole kit and caboodle, everything. You're not talking about the words on the message. You're talking the whole message.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, yes, yeah. Everything. As Dave said, it was on his sites, he has the images, and I'm assuming words and text and all of that. So it's everything that draws the attention. One thing I tell my agents is don't overstate the obvious on your message. Videos, and we're all guilty of this at one point or another, where we assume that the consumer is clueless, and they're really not. They become more savvy than ever. We see videos where agents will walk in and say, okay, here we have the master bedroom. Okay, here's the bathroom. Okay, I'm pretty sure I know what a bathroom looks like. I know what a kitchen looks like. So you don't need to tell me this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom. Say something else about the property, evoke an emotion. Wouldn't it be great to come home after a long day at work, relax in the living room? We have a great view out of here. We know we're standing in the living room. We know we're standing in the den. So tell us something that we don't know about it.
Okay, so you say about the messaging is different for an older group or just different demographic, and we should really not try the shotgun approach. How do we then find what that design is? I mean, at some point, obviously, this is for professionals to deal with us. for. But even little things, the emails we send out, how do we go about finding what our demographic is? Any advice on finding out what versus 5-year-old?
Oh, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think start with what catches your eye. I mean, we are bombarded by emails every single day, hundreds and hundreds of emails every single day. What makes you stop on a certain email, other than the ones that are from people you know? What makes you stop on a particular email? It's the subject. You open it. It's the design. It's layout. So kind of look to see what catches your eye and take cues from that. And then take cues and look at what the person did to design the email in a certain way. What graphics did they use? What layout did they use? And build off of that. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. We can start at, there's great design all around us. Take cues from things that are all around us. If you land on a great website, kind of look at the website. Why did I stay here? Why did I linger here a little longer than the last website I was at? What's key? What are they doing differently than other people are doing? And then key off of that, talk to a designer and say, okay, this is what I want. This is the message I'm trying to go for. Here's some examples of things that I like, and now let me know your input. Tell me what I need to do, and then run from there. When you start keying to specific demographics, you either have to go with your gut feeling or rely on the designer at that point.
Okay, so what should an agent be looking for in a good designer? How does an agent find a good designer? Because I would think that who you work with has a big impact on the final result. So any advice for an agent that wants to start to step up their design game?
Check out their portfolio. Pretty much every designer that's out there will have a portfolio. Look through it, see their work, see what it's done. If it stands out to you, it's probably going to stand out to somebody else. If it's just ho-hum, it's probably going to be ho-hum to somebody else. We have a great eye for detail, and designer or not, we know what catches our eye. We know what's pleasing to the eye, and you have to rely on your own instinct at that point, and then really go on the opinion of the designer. Like, okay, how can we take my idea and bring it out?
You talked about how design impacts the presentations we do, the flyers we put out, social media, but design for you too as well is a whole new game right behind you, and that green screen video continues to be a bigger and bigger play. And I know that you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff with video there at your brokerage. So talk a little bit, because we've talked about, that's probably the topic we sort of tackled the most on the show. Talk about video, the power of video, and how design is important in that medium.
Well, video is great because you can, more so than ever, evoke a particular emotion in it. You don't just have an image anymore. You don't just have audio. You have audio and imagery. You have that whole package in video. They can really see who you are, your personality. You can use video to evoke those emotions. Pictures worth 1,000 words. You know, video's running at 30 frames a second. That's a whole lot of words. And again, consistency through video is important as well. So we developed our own pre-roll introduction. So we run that in the front of most of our videos that we put out. Again, it's that brand impression. They're seeing it. They're recognizing the brand, the company, the agents. And so having a great pre-roll introduction, you guys have one. It's really important.
So that's interesting too, because I kind of just what you said. Obviously, you have agents that work in your office. Your office is going to have a branded pre-roll, the RE/MAX Prestige in Honolulu, Hawaii, and then you're also playing to the RE/MAX brand around the world. So there's actually 3 different brands sort of trying to work together: the individual agent, the brokerage, and then RE/MAX. I mean, that's obviously important for your local marketplace to realize you're a go-to resource, and then as well as for your brokerage, and then for RE/MAX LLC. So talk about how design has impacted you as a team with your brokers or your agents inside that one brokerage.
Again, it's important to have those 3 tiers, right? So it's important to have the national tier, the international national tier, along with the local tier, along with the agent. So again, the consumer knows what they're getting with the brand, Then they also know what they're getting with the company, what the company stands for, and then they have to get to know the agent. Because, take a larger office of 50, 60, 70 agents, a consumer might run into one or two agents from that same company. So what's going to differentiate you from that other person? So they might be talking same brand, same company. Now we're at different agents. So what makes you stand out from the person sitting next to you? What value do you bring to the table? And again, attention is in the details, and they see it in every little aspect of everything you do. So if you're paying attention to the details, if you're paying attention to design, if you're understanding that, hey, my flyers are big, bold, they're out there, that will probably catch the consumer's eye more than somebody whose flyers has 3 pictures on it and then half a page of text.
Okay, so when that's great advice. I had a great question. I know Dave's trying to get back in here. I don't know where Dave went. Dave left us. So this whole thing about design is something that we have to be aware of, obviously at all levels, at all the time. We're saying that we are going to be, we're fun, we're engaging, we care about our consumer, we're this, we're that. How important is it to set the table for the consumer with that's what we represent, and then how important is it to deliver on that promise to protect or to reinforce your brand? It's one thing to say we're this or we're that. How important is it then to walk the walk?
It's enormously important. Again, you want to wow the consumer. You want them to come back. Referral business is big. So if you say, I'm this, this, and the other, and then you don't deliver on any of that, the consumer is going to see that, and then you know what, they might not come back the next time, or they're not going to refer you to their friends. So you want to make sure that you over-deliver. So under-promise and over-deliver is enormous. So if you say you're going to do this, do that, and then go the extra step and walk the extra mile, because that's what's going to really wow the consumer.
Dave, we got you?
There I am.
Okay, good, good. Because I actually wanted to ask you this question at the end of the conversation, near the end of the conversation, Dave. We've talked about design. We've talked about the importance of having our brand portray a certain experience for our consumer. This is what it's going to be like when you work with the Enviro Realty team. This is what it's like. But then you have to do that. You just can't say we have higher standards, we care about the details, we're going to give you a good experience, and then not follow through. I think that's worse than the promise, making the promise in the first place. So talk about, you've got this design, you've intrigued the consumer, and now you have to follow through with what you've promised when it comes to your personal brand.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's more important than actually saying it. I mean, you could go. You don't even have to say that I have higher standards. Just show you have higher standards, and walk the talk. I mean, you'd have heard me say that over and over and over again. How you conduct your business, that's your brand. I mean, forget the logo, forget all the other stuff. Your brand is how you conduct yourself, and you get a reputation, and people refer you, and that's how this business works, in my opinion. And I don't think I'm wrong. It's a little more than my opinion. I'm pretty strong on that. You know that.
Absolutely, I know that, and I think sometimes when we talk about design and we talk about logo, we think personal brand happens to be the logo and the website URL and our catchphrase, but that has so little to do with it's almost reverse engineered. I think you have to find out, be very clear about who you are, and then find the logo and the tagline that matches that experience, that authenticity. I don't think you can say, okay, here's what I want my design to be, here's what I'm trying to portray, and then I'm going to try to live up to that expectation. I think that's going about it the completely wrong way, and I think that's what agents have to do, and that's what Kevin said. Ask consumers, find out from your friends and family, what they think about you, what the experience that they've received from you, and then sort of reverse engineer that back to some sort of sense of design.
Absolutely.
Okay. Kevin, we've already had you for an hour. Any great advice? I don't think questions-wise, I think we're good. It's nice that Chase Thompson is going to take on your challenge that people can read faster than they can talk. So Chase is going to speed talk for someone. I would imagine that's what that means.
Michael, I think we lost your camera. Can you see him, Kevin?
I can see him, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Dave. Come on now.
No, you can see him. I can't see him. All I can see is the mobile agent TV thing going, blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's branding. I'm trying to put our brand up there.
That's cool. Up there. I like that.
Google figures this out. So there's a lot of great audio. I think there's a lot of things that we've talked about here that really hits home for a lot of people. Kevin, anything about design, any tips, any advice that you don't think we've sort of hit home about how to go about it, how important it is for agents to embrace?
I think at the end of the day, just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Like you said, your brand is who you are. It's everything. It's the entire package. It's the entire customer experience. It's not just one aspect of it. Design is a big part of it because that's your first impression, and you never have a second chance to make that first impression. So make sure you make the right first impression, and then continue on to give them an amazing customer experience, because that's what's really going to bring them back. As Dave said, it's not going to be about a fancy logo, fancy flyer, a fancy piece of marketing collateral. At the end of the day, it's you. You are your brand.
Absolutely.
Great advice. Kevin, how can our viewers find you, get out to your office there in Honolulu? And I don't know if you take care of all the islands. I don't know where you are that way, but where can people get a hold of you and your team?
We're out in Hawaii Kai, very close to the beach, which is great, at Coca Marina Shopping Center. We do service all of the island of Oahu and the outer islands as well. So if they have any clients looking to purchase in Hawaii, give us a call. We'll be glad to help them out.
And how do they find you, Kevin? Websites, that sort of stuff?
They can go to prestigeoahu.com.
Fantastic.
And find us there.
And at Kevin Tengan on Twitter. You can find him there, and you can go to just check out a couple of his websites. The imagery is fantastic, and he definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to designing. And go to IMDb and look him up. It's impressive. It's an impressive list of things. Hey, Kevin, best of luck with your adventure out to Africa. You are going to enjoy it. It is the most amazing people in Tanzania. They're amazing culture and amazing people, and it is an adventure of a lifetime. Enjoy it. Best of luck, and I hope you get home safe afterwards. I think you probably got an easier flight from Hawaii. Where do you go? Do you go straight there?
No, actually, it's a pretty complicated flight. We're going to fly from here to Shanghai, and then from Shanghai into Africa. So quite a few stops.
Fantastic. Dave, why don't you let people know about next week's show? Because there's some people that are pretty pumped for this guest.
Are they? Oh, great. I met a pretty amazing woman at a RE/MAX thing here for about team building, and she's from the Toronto area in Ontario. Her name is Mary Roy of the Mary Roy team. She's a team leader there, and she's had some incredible success with her team. And she's agreed to come on and share some of the foundations of what she does. Some of the stuff that we may talk about, that we talked about in the seminar, aren't real sexy, but they're budgeting and things like that, things that you need to do to put a real foundation under a team if you're interested in building a team. So I'm looking forward to more sharing with her. She shared at this seminar, and Mary Roy is she's a big RE/MAX success story.
She's amazing, and I think perhaps maybe underselling it a little bit, Dave, as far as team building. I definitely think there will be nuggets and takeaways for someone that isn't on a team yet to sort of learn some of these lessons. I agree. For a team, Absolutely. It's amazing, and our industry is going towards teams more and more and more. But there will be some great nuggets for the individual agents to start to lay the foundation for a business, and that's what we're all trying to build here, right?
Yep, business.
That's June 13th at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern with Mary Roy. If you have any referrals heading out to the East Coast of the United States, get a hold of Dave. He'll get you in the hands of the right RE/MAX agents. Any referrals coming out to the West Coast of Canada, get a hold of me, and I'll get you in the hands of the right RE/MAX agent. And as Melanie Gallia of RE/MAX Fort McMurray wants us to end every show, please tell 5 other RE/MAX agents about Mobile Agent TV. We grow each week and are able to reach out to people like Kevin to come on the show and give up an hour of his time. Kevin, thank you so much for getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, our earliest riser for Mobile Agent TV ever. Thank you for the great graphics that you've provided us here at Mobile Agent TV. He's just sent them out to us. He obviously knows what he's doing, and we appreciate it a lot. It's cleaned up our look. I think it portrays a little bit more of who we actually are now than the graphics I slapped together because Dave and I decided to take on this adventure, and 4 days later we were on the air, so I had to come up with something. But I appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Best of luck on your climb of Kilimanjaro. Dave, thank you so much. Another great episode. We'll see you. Oh, no!
What?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Dave's takeaways. What happened there?
You got my takeaways already. I mean, you got them. We're good. We're good.
I always usually mess up something. I mean, I'm still busted up that my quadcopter didn't get off the ground the other day. I don't know what went wrong. You know what?
I love that video.
Ethan Butte thinks it might be the tape that I used. Do you think that could be it?
I think so. Sure.
Maybe I have to change up the tape. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next week.